Hey peoples, this is another movie review of Dragonheart Vengeance on Netflix. Now I believe this is the fourth Dragonheart movie. I maybe have seen the first one, but honestly I can't remember anything about it. There have been 3 sequels, and if you Google it, people have already asked will there be a 5th one. So I guess this is a popular enough franchise where they keep making them. But anyway, this specific movie is about a character named Lucas. Lucas is living with his mother and father in their barn on their land, and one day 4 savages, that's the word the movie uses, savages, come to his house, murder his mom and dad. Lucas is hiding at that point so they don't see him so he doesn't get murdered, but then they leave and go their separate ways. Lucas is of course very angry about this, so he teams up with a dragon and a mercenary and they set off on a course for revenge. And that's the movie. So this movie tells you what type of movie it is right from the beginning. And in the beginning, like I said, Lucas's parents get murdered. Lucas is of course very upset and angry about this, so he heads straight into town to talk to the king. The king is walking through the town with his guards, and he runs up to the king and he's like, hey, there's these murderers, I want revenge, help me to go destroy them. The guards are like, back up, you need to schedule an official appointment with the king in order to talk to him, go away before we arrest you. So Lucas is very upset, he's very angry. And then all of a sudden, a girl passes him and he gets enamored with her and he's all focused and captivated by this girl. Even though he was just upset about his parents who got murdered, he is now captivated by this girl because that's apparently more important to him. But that gives you a clue to what type of movie this is. There are multiple things in this movie that just seem silly to think about or goofy or don't make sense, but the movie seems to know what it is, so it doesn't take itself too seriously, which made the movie somehow better. When a movie is bad but it takes itself very seriously, you find more holes in it. But when the movie understands that it's not going to be the greatest thing in the world, it's just having fun with presenting a story to you, then you let certain things go and you just go with the movie. And there are many examples of this. The biggest example is of course the dragon. This is a lower budget film, so it would cost a lot of money if you had the dragon throughout the whole film. So in order to get around that, what they did was they allowed the dragon to change into different animals. But they don't explain why the dragon is a different animal at different times. For instance, the dragon turns into a horse so Lucas can ride the horse. For a while, Lucas doesn't realize that the horse is the dragon. But then after it's revealed and you're like, okay, cool, so now Lucas knows, so now we can go on a journey with the dragon and Lucas. But then the next scene, the dragon turns back into a horse and you're kind of confused as to why this is the case. And the movie will go back and forth of sometimes it's a dragon, then sometimes it's a horse, then sometimes it turns into a dog. It would make more sense for the story if it stayed a dragon the whole time, but I get it, budgetary reasons it changes into other animals because it's just cheaper. And you realize it's cheaper because they reuse certain dragon shots multiple times in the movie. But anyway, other little small things, this movie does an interesting thing with time. For instance, let's say it just starts snowing. In the next scene that they show, now everything is covered in snow. It wasn't like that just a second ago, but now everything is covered in snow. They'll be traveling from A to B, and it seems like it takes forever to get there, but then when they're traveling back home, they get home a lot quicker. Another weird moment in the movie is actually kind of humorous to me, whereas Lucas is looking for help, and one guy tells him, hey, maybe this dragon can help you. So Lucas asks, what do I have to do in order to get the dragon to help me? And the guy says you have to get crop seed. The dragon likes crop seed. Then it cuts to the next scene and Lucas just has crop seed in his hand. And I guess the movie wanted to make sure that the audience knew that, so he takes it out of the bag that he's holding it in and he looks at it and he says the words crop seed. I don't know who that was for other than the audience. Lucas has no one around him, he has no friends at that point, and it's just to literally talk to the audience. This is crop seed, just so you know. And that just made me smile. Also, one of the weird things in this movie is tone, because at the beginning it shows that the villains are murderers. It shows them killing the parents. But later on when Lucas is running away from one of the villains, or you can call them savages, Lucas doesn't look like he's scared for his life. And when the savage grabs him and starts spinning him around, the way the camera looks, the camera shot makes it look goofier versus scary, or at least fearful. And it felt like the movie shifted into more of a kid's movie versus in the beginning where you have, just straight up murder. The villains just don't seem too villainous. And there are other small things here and there, for instance like one character fighting with an arrow versus a sword and somehow the sword can clank against the arrow and the arrow not break. I don't understand, but that's this movie. Those type of things made me laugh. I don't think it was intentional because the movie does have intentional comedic moments. they just really aren't that funny, or they fall flat. But you can tell that the movie is trying. Now, you could poke holes in some of the plot points in this movie. For instance, the dragon has a whole storyline that is kind of secretive and it's slowly revealed through the movie, but it doesn't make sense why it was a secret in the first place. Things would have been better if they just clarified her whole story from the beginning. Also, the love interest in this movie is very weird. In the beginning, like I said, Lucas sees the girl in the market. He doesn't talk to her at all, he knows nothing about her. But when he goes on his journey for revenge, he's talking to the dragon and the mercenary, and the girl is brought up, even though, again, he knows really nothing about her, and he's never talked to her at all. Then later on in the movie, much later, like there's only 30 minutes left in the movie, they bring the relationship back up, and now they're a thing. They go out on their first date. Again, this is 30 minutes before the movie's about to end, and they shove in this storyline for some possible reason. It seems like it's messy and tacked on at the end of the movie. Even though I did like the love interest, I just felt like they underused her, or they just should have cut her out completely. And probably the biggest issue in this movie is the villains themselves. They're pretty weak, and again, because tonally it seems like the movie shifts to try to make them more family friendly so kids can watch this, they seem very shallow and you're not fearful of them like they were presented at the beginning of the movie. Also, there's like this big villain, I won't reveal anything, but their plan requires some secrecy and they pretty much outed themselves or snitched on themselves, whatever you want to say. It made no sense why they basically showed their hand when they didn't have to. And I guess you could say adding up all of these issues equals a weak plot overall. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the visuals. Not much to say here. I actually like the way the dragon looked. It didn't look too bad. I'd say a little bit better than TV movie quality, but it's not on your level of like the Lord of the Rings dragon. The scenery sometimes was fake because it looked like green screen. And like I aforementioned, they used a couple of scenes multiple times in order to fill space and actually cut down on budget, but it's noticeable. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this film. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. Like I said, it knows what it is, so it's pretty just okay. I personally wouldn't suggest sitting down and watching this. This is something you can have playing on in the background while you do something else. It just doesn't require that much attention because there's not a lot going on in the film, but it's just noise for your background. And I know that might sound bad, but to be clear, it's not a bad film. It's just there. But that's all, peoples. If you did watch this movie, let me know. Write down in the comments if you liked it, if you didn't like it. If you've seen any of the other movies, please let me know, and which one is the best so I could watch that one next. Thank you to all the people that subscribed. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Please continue to have a great day. God bless. I'll talk to you later.